Welcome back, everyone. All right, so there's one more thing we need to make sure that we talk about before we move on here. Now, if we go into our modifiers and add in a subdivision or subsurf modifier, you can see that if we add in, let's say, a few subdivisions here, it gets a little bit wonky. One thing that you need to really make sure that you know what you're doing, and I'll just push 7 to get to the top here, and let's add in another cylinder, is the amount of vertices around this, okay? And if you're going for anything but game anything but game architecture. That is like you want to do like architectural renders or something like that, or to a lesser extent 3D printing. Again, 3D printing, it depends on how sensitive your printer is. That is what the resolution it can print in. So if I, let's say, put this up to 150, okay, and I'm just going to actually tab this out here, and yeah, and that's good. Tab into edit mode. Actually, we'll move this up all the way here, and then we'll move this down. Okay, and you can see that there are 3 different objects here, and you can see that this one's a lot more round, okay, than this one. And if I tab back into edit mode, but I put the edge select or even the vertice select here, you can see that for the most part, there is a lot of vertices here. And if I tab out of that and I tab into this, is way less vertices. Now this actually technically looks more round when I look at it, and I'm talking about the top one here. So the more vertices you add, the more round it looks, because when you think about it, there isn't actually too much of curves until you add in some kind of subsurface modifier. But even then, you're just increasing the amount of faces. Okay, so you got to keep that in mind, that whenever you do something round, you're dealing with something that's a little bit more resource costly. And again, I always like to, whenever you take a lot of Blender tutorials, it's all about what you can do, the quickest way to make a good render look like. But there's very few tutorials out there that teach you how to make an interactive environment. And even if you're not making an interactive environment, even if you're doing like CG for a film, the more vertices you use, the more time it's going to take, and that is a factor, especially if you're an independent. If you're not an independent and you have like a $10 million budget, then that's why the people can go and do that. All right, I'll see you guys in the next tutorial.